Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video clip I will explain step by step about ISO now requires management to consider climate change in your MSS. Stay like this but stay with me in the next few minutes and you will understand the explanations that I will give you. If your organization is currently registered to any of the ISO Management System Standards, MSS, as of February 1st, 2024, you are now required to consider climate change within your management system. This means that going forward, your registration auditor can and will ask the management team how they are complying to the new shall that is in all ISO audit table standards. This includes 9001, 14001, 22001, 22301, 27001, 45001, 50001 or any of the other MSS audit table requirements. I have already heard some of my clients say that they will immediately add a phase in their management review that the management team is considering climate change in their internal system. Okay, this is a good start. However, you will also need to look at ISO to see how they are defining what climate change is and then think through how this could impact your management system. ISO 14093, 2022, Mechanism for Financing Local Adaptation to Climate Change, Performance-Based Climate Resilience Grants, Requirements and Guidelines. 3.1.1.1 Climate change in climate that persists for an extended period, typically decades or longer. Note 1 to entry. Climate change can be identified by such means as statistical tests, e.g., on changes in the mean variability. Note 2 to entry. Climate change might be due to natural processes internal to the climate system, or external forcings such as modulations of the solar cycles, volcanic eruptions, and persistent anthropogenic changes in the composition of the atmosphere or in land use. Source: ISO 14090, 2019, 3.5. This looks confusing and will not be well understood by most registration auditors as this new requirement has seeming dropped out of nowhere to now become a requirement of the ISO MSS. And by creating the amendment to all MSSs, the ISO has also stepped into a new world of how these documents may be released in the future, as this dramatic type of change has never occurred before since the starting of the ISO 9001 in 1988. It appears that ISO has also released several free publications talking about how ISO is working with worldwide stakeholders to address climate change. Reviewing these documents might be of assistance to your management team in being ready to discuss what your company is planning on doing with your registrar. Some of the free downloads include Pub 100449 Climate Change Adaptation, Pub 100271 Environment Climate Change Mitigation, Pub 100067 ISO and Climate Change, ISO Climate Action Toolkit 1. So how might this impact your management system? With the add of a note in Clause 4.2, any customer-specific audit table standards now has full carte blanche permission to impose any sort of new requirements on your company under the guise of climate change. In the past, for the automotive industry, Ford Motor Company has already required all of their suppliers to also get registered to ISO 14001, 2015, now ISO 14001, 2015 and 2024, and BMW has required their suppliers to get registered to ISO 45001, 2018, now ISO 45001, 2018 and 2024. The idea that customers could now require your company to get registered to other management system standards may only be the tip of the iceberg that has now been set adrift. In the USA, adding the ISO 14001 should be relatively simple because they have the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, or the ISO 45001 as they have the Occupational Health and Safety Administration, OSHA, as governmental regulation bodies. One reaching example that may be starting to play out now. In the past year, I have noticed more organizations wanting to claim that they are doing or using sustainability in their organizations. ISO does not have a standalone audit table standard yet, so many organizations are considering adding a combo of ISO 14001, 2015 and 2024 and ISO 50001, 2018 and 2024. Yes, there will be the new numbers to their already existing 9001 or other audit table standards. This could easily become a mandate by your customers. Another angle could be starting to develop due to the number of companies experiencing cyber attacks is to add the ISO 27001, 2018 and 2024. It would not be too much of a stretch that customer could require cybersecurity measures to be taken, or the business continuity under the ISO 22301, 2019 and 2024. Just looking at the number of ISO auditable standards is going to be confusing, but customer will not be limited to using ISO standards. Any EHS professional knows the challenge of trying to keep up the regulations changes in the USA caused by the EPA or OSHA organizations. This new release of documents from the ISO and the MSS requirements could easily have a profound impact on how we run and manage our business in the very near future. Please stay tuned to Quality as we will attempt to help you keep track of what is happening in the ISO auditing arena. All of this is on top of the fact that we know a new updated ISO 9001 is planned for 2025. Note, which ISO technical committees are working on aspects of climate change. Committee ISO TC 207. SC7, Greenhouse Gas and Climate Change Management and Related Activities, Standardization to Manage GHG Emissions, as well as to adapt to the effects of climate change in support of sustainability. Committee ISO TC17, SC21, Environment Related to Climate Change in the Iron and Steel Industry, Standardization in the Field of Environment, related to climate change such as low-carbon process in the iron and steel industry. Committee ISO TC82, SC7, Sustainable Mining and Mine Closure, Standardization of Environmental, Social and Governance Aspects of Mining to minimize the negative impacts from mining through its life cycle, and transition to post-mining land use, take action to combat climate change and its impacts, develop sustainable benefits and opportunities for local and regional communities, respect community cultural connections to places, adopt a long-term view that ensures intergenerational equity, embrace opportunities for innovation by adopting the principles of the circular economy, enhance transparency of mining practices, excluded occupational health and safety aspects related to workplace activities, covered by ISO TC 283, risk management guidance, provided in ISO 31000, industrial wastewater treatment and reuse, covered by ISO TC 282, SC4, machinery, Committee ISO TC 207, Environmental Management, Standardization in the Field of Environmental Management to address environmental and climate impacts, including related social and economic aspects, in support of sustainable development, excluded, test methods of pollutants, setting limit values and levels of environmental performance, and standardization of products. Note 1, TC 207, is focused on environmental management systems, auditing, verification, validation and related investigations, environmental labeling, environmental performance evaluation, life cycle assessment, climate change and its mitigation and adaptation, eco-design, material efficiency, environmental economics and environmental and climate finance. Note 2, where appropriate, the ISO TC 207 works in cooperation with existing committees on subjects that may support environmental management. Committee ISO TC 59, SC 17, Sustainability in Buildings and Civil Engineering Works, Standardization in the Field of Sustainability of New and Existing Construction, works in the context of the Unsustainable Development Goals, and climate change mitigation and adaptation. The environmental, economic, and social aspects of sustainability and circular economy are included as appropriate. Alexandru, thanks for viewing. If you liked the video, don't forget